ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਫੋਕਸ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ 'ਚ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਉਹ ਨੇ ਮਾਰਕੋ ਈਐਲ ਮੈਂਡੀਸਿਨੋ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਰਿਫਿਊਜੀ ਅਤੇ ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਵਿਭਾਗ ਦੇ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਬਿਰਾਜਮਾਨ ਨੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ। Welcome, Minister, in the Focus Punjabi show.
Sat Sri Akal sir, thank you for having me.
So let us start with the parents and grandparents applications. When you are opening these?
Well, I'd be very happy to speak about it, but first let me say how honored I am to be in Edmonton on my first trip as the Minister for Immigration. I've been traveling right across the country, working closely with our stakeholders on the front lines of immigration. And as a son of an immigrant whose family came from Italy around the Second World War, it's just a great honor to have this job. So we want to continue to use immigration to drive our economic prosperity, but also to work with the community on family reunification. And I know you've asked about the parents and grandparents program. I will tell you that we will be relaunching in very short order with two things in mind. One, we want to have a very fair intake process, and two, we want to be sure that families have the certainty to plan on how they will reunify, and I look forward to doing that work in conjunction with the community.
So are you changing the process this time?
Well, as someone who has just been sworn in a few months ago, I thought it was an appropriate opportunity for me to take a look at how the program was administered last year. And I know there were some concerns around intake, and we want to be sure that we create as much fairness in the process as possible in a way that's transparent. So my hope is that we'll be in a position to relaunch and have an improved process. But it's also important to remember that my department doesn't just reunify families through parents and grandparents program. We also have the super visa program, which is very incentivized and is another pathway. And we also reunify many families, tens of thousands of families under the economic class of immigration in our overall levels plan, which I'm looking forward to introducing as well shortly.
Is there any change in the express entry?
Well, this is the flagship of our success under the economic class of immigration. And so over 90% of the people who come in under express entry have a job. Over 80% who come in through express entry have a job in their primary occupation. So there's lots of success on which we can build on. And of course, I'm always open to feedback from the community on how we can further improve our express entry, and we do a lot of good work with our provincial partners as well.
Are you going to increase the quota for the Alberta provincial nominations?
I met with Minister Copping this morning, and he and I have a very good collaborative working relationship. We share a belief that immigration is a way to drive economic growth in Canada. You know, we saw over the last year good GDP growth. Our government's record is very strong. We've created over 1 million new jobs in the last 4 years and change. And it's important to note that 80% of our workforce is growing through immigration. So we should be proud of that, and I'm going to work and collaborate very closely with my provincial counterpart, Minister Copping, on that front.
Now let us talk about the coronavirus. What is the impact of the coronavirus on the immigrants?
First, I would say that our government has had a very clear and strong response to this coronavirus. We have included special measures that require additional screening, self-isolation. We have repatriated a number of Canadians who were in China, and we have quarantined them to be sure that they're safe, that the rest of the community is safe. And now we're shifting more resources into coordinating our public health response to the coronavirus by working closely with our provincial partners, with municipal partners, and all of this is being coordinated by our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Teresa Tam, who is a world-renowned expert who has demonstrated an ability to marshal all of these health professionals so that Canada's response is among the strongest. And I'm glad to see that. We need to be very self-aware, but we can be confident that the government's responded well.
There are so many students, international students, who are coming to Canada every year, but they don't get any job, and there are a lot of other problems of the international students. Are you doing something for them?
Well, first, I would say that the International Student Program, which is administered by my department, is a very successful one. It contributes over $21.6 billion every year into the economy. That doesn't just mean that they're getting good educations here. It also means that we're creating more work, particularly in the post-secondary educational sector. So we've seen universities and colleges grow with the demand from many countries, including from India. So we have seen this program grow. A proportionate relative to the demand, which I think is spurring on many opportunities. Now, does that mean that there are no concerns? Of course not. And we want to be sure that we're cracking down on abuses within the system. And we have invested $52 million to roll out a college of immigration consultants to take the abuses out of the system, because there's nothing that I hate to see more than people get taken advantage of. Before I got into politics, I was a prosecutor. So I made sure that we held criminals accountable, and we will continue to take that kind of commitment to our immigration system in a way that encourages more confidence.
Let us talk about the visitor visa applications. I think the success rate of visitor visa application is around 50% or so. Should we expect that this rate will increase in future?
Well, I have received some feedback from the community around acceptance rates, and I want to be sure, again, that we have a system that people can be confident of. And here again, I would just say that our temporary visa program is a tremendous success. I mean, we generate well over 1 million visas every year. We do it with a very efficient process, and that allows for people to come from all over the world to visit Canada, to reunite with their families, to pump money into the economy, which creates jobs. So we want to be sure that we have a system with our visa program that has integrity, that has transparency, that has consistency, which is another issue that I've heard from the community about, and I'm going to work closely with my officials to be sure that we're achieving that goal.
There are a lot of complaints regarding some immigration companies, especially the LMIA. Some people are charging a lot of money for them. The immigration system is being misused. So it has been heard that around $50,000 are being taken for one LMIA. So are you taking any action?
First, I would say that's wrong. We don't want to see people taking advantage of the system. We don't want to see abuse or fraud. And March is Anti-Fraud Month, and I've issued a statement recommitting our government to the work of ensuring that there's integrity in the system by taking fraud out of it. And I've already mentioned the additional resources that we're putting into enforcement. I will work closely not only with Minister Bill Blair, who is the Minister for Public Safety, but equally with my colleague, Minister Qualtrough, who is the head of ESDC. And here in particular, when it comes to the issuance and the approvals of LMIAs, I would say that we are always open to new ways in which we can reduce some of the red tape on both sides, for employers as well as aspiring visitors, employees. And again, this is just generating so much into the economy. There are well over 300,000 temporary foreign workers that come at any given point in time, and that's good news.
So what is the actual solution you are finding for this?
I think to work closely with my colleague Carla Qualtrough, who is responsible for administering the LMIA program, to take the feedback which we're hearing from the employer and the business community and the agricultural community as well, and to really see whether or not there are any ways in which we can further streamline and have a process that is efficient. Because we know there are employers that apply every year. And there are some employers who are very well known to the government, who have established relationships. So I think we have to continue having this dialogue and look for ways to improve the application of the process, and that way it continues to be a success.
Any message you want to convey to our TV listeners now?
Well, first of all, I'm honored to be here in Edmonton, and I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come on your program. I believe in immigration. I believe that the vast majority of Canadians believe in immigration, that it's a positive thing that will create not only economic prosperity through jobs, but that will continue to allow us to be a diverse, beautiful country.
So thank you very much, Minister, for joining our show.
Thank you.
So दोस्तों इसी ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਮਰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਲੈਣੇ ਆ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਉਣੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ